Hey guys, how are you? Today I bring you a follow-up video on my experience with the reimbursement for a car rental that we got through Genesis from when we took our vehicle for service back in December. Today is the first few days of March. I think it's March 1st today. And we took our vehicle in for service on the 10th of December. We picked it up on the 17th and we did not get reimbursed until a couple of days ago. So it took 73 days from the day that we dropped off that rental and that we submitted a claim to getting reimbursed the $280 for that rental. In this video, I'll give you a breakdown of the process and what the timeline looked like. So maybe my experience can help you process the rental reimbursement faster, because if I knew then what I know now, I could have done a couple of things differently that would have expedited my refund. If you're in the middle of a rental reimbursement claim and do not want to watch the whole video, I understand. So just fast forward to this minute right here so that you can follow 4 easy steps that will make sure that you get your money back more like in 2 weeks than in over 2 months. As you might remember, I had to take my GV70 in for unscheduled service due to recurring issues with the fuel injection system back in December. I set up an appointment with my local dealership through the app, and I got an email on September 30th saying that they had openings until December. So I'm going to use that as my base for my case, even though I submitted my request for an appointment through the app days before. The appointment was set up for December 10th. On that date, my wife dropped off the GV70 and the dealership was out of loaners, so Genesis approved for a rental car for the duration of the repairs, which I appreciated. However, getting the money back from the rental has been a different story. We picked up our GV70 on the 17th of December. That same day, we returned the rental and asked for receipts and anything that we will need to submit the claim directly with Genesis Corporate. So whenever I say Genesis, I'm gonna be referring to the car company, Genesis Corporate USA, not the dealership. The very next day, we submitted all the necessary paperwork for the reimbursement, including a photo of all the documents and receipts. And it's been quite frustrating because despite following all the steps, it took this long to get our money back. Again, 73 days. One of the challenges has been the reimbursement method itself. To be honest, I hadn't been putting a rental instead of a courtesy car since like 2010. That's 15 years ago. And back then, my local Audi dealership gave me a voucher that put me in a rental and they took care of the rest. The dealership paid directly the rental company, so I didn't have to deal with anything. So I don't want to be too harsh with Genesis because maybe this is the process across the industry nowadays. I just haven't dealt with it. And of course, this ordeal could have been avoided if the dealership had provided me with a courtesy vehicle. Like I said, the claim was submitted the very next day and we assumed that it had been taken care of, but we never got our money back. When I realized that I was still missing my $280, I called Genesis and a fine gentleman answered my phone call and he said that we had done everything correctly and that they had dropped the ball somewhere in the process, but that we will be getting our money back shortly, days after. I cannot quote him, but I assumed that it was going to be, a week, 5 business days. But he didn't ask me how I wanted the money refunded, right? So I just didn't connect the fact that they may not have my financial institution information or my credit card, even though some of that information has been linked with the card through the app. So I followed up with the phone call on February 12th with my original case number, and they took my call, they got my information, and promised to call me back. And I got a call from a case manager that by then had been assigned to my case.
It's Marcella calling from Genesis Corporate. If I can please have a call back at 714. Thank you.
That was on the 18th of February. So I didn't pick up the phone call because I didn't recognize the number, but she left me a message saying that I had been scheduled a phone call appointment for the 20th. So even though I called the next day, they couldn't help me because they couldn't get a hold of my case manager. And keep in mind that by then, it had been over 2 months since I had submitted my claim. This time, where the case manager seemed a lot more proficient and knowledgeable of the process, she told me that they would send me a proposal letter that I had to sign electronically and send back. And I did that the very same day. And by February 20th, I was informed by the case manager that my money will be hitting my account through Zelle. By the 24th, she notified me that my money request had been properly processed and that I will be getting my money back in 14 to 21 days because Zelle takes a lot longer to process transfers between businesses to people. The fact that Genesis processes the reimbursements through Zelle can be cumbersome as not everyone is familiar with Zelle, or maybe we don't have an account with it. And it can take time to set up an account. It can be time consuming as well, and also confusing, of course. So on the 28th of February, a full 73 days since I picked up our GV70 from the shop, I finally closed that case that I opened. Check this out, a whopping 151 days before with the scheduling of an appointment. And it was longer because remember, I said that I did try to schedule the appointment through the app. So it has to be maybe 155 days. So when you see on the Genesis website that servicing your car is as easy as scheduling the appointment through the app and then having the car picked up by the valet and then dropped off, and then meanwhile you're going to be driving a nice loaner, the real life scenario can be a lot sloppier than that. And I shout out to my case manager because I don't want to just be negative about this. I think that Marcella was her name. She took ownership of the case and she untangled everything and she expedited my reimbursement that took like maybe 10 business days, which I think is pretty reasonable. So if you remove the 2 days from the weekend, it's more like 8 business days. I said 10 days. It's 10 total days minus the weekend that got in the way. This is my advice to you if you happen to go with the rental route. Number one, get a case number the very day by calling Genesis Corporate. The dealership will give you their number. So just call them and ask for a rental approval so that they have it on file that before getting that car, you actually ask for an approval. Number two, if your Genesis is in the shop for over 3 days, you need to call Genesis Corporate to escalate your case, and that's the word they use, escalate. Number three, once you pick up your Genesis from service, return the rental and update your claim through the Genesis website. Number four, and this is the most important step, follow up with a phone call to get further instructions. I say this because the website does not tell you that you still need to do things in order to get your money back. Because, for example, they do not have your bank information and they won't be able to reimburse you. If you follow those 4 steps, there has to be no reason for any unnecessary delays. And think about it. If you use your credit card for the rental and you carry a balance every month, you'll be paying for interest on the amount of the rental, and that's not good. Overall, it's been a frustrating experience, and I wanted to share with you to raise awareness. If you're going through a similar situation, know that you're not alone. And I hope that Genesis improves their reimbursement process to make it more straightforward and efficient for customers. Or better yet, the dealerships should have a larger fleet of courtesy vehicles to elevate the customer experience. Speaking of the customer experience, this brings up the next question. How does this type of interactions affect my perception of Genesis as a brand? Unfortunately, I'm very disappointed. The GV70 was my first experience with Genesis, and while the buying experience was really good, the reliability issues along with other headaches don't leave me much to look forward to. I do not envision going up market and exploring other nicer vehicles from the brand. And with this said, would I get another Genesis based on my first experience with the premium Korean brand? My answer is no. So there you have it, my follow-up on the experience that I had with the rental car reimbursement from Genesis. And while I love this car, dealing with this type of issues like the reimbursement process from Genesis has been a significant hassle. If you had any similar experiences that you want to share with us or have any tips on how to resolve this issue faster, please drop me a comment below. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.